Alright, what is up you guys? Welcome back to TGTV. So, we have got the official 2016 NBA Draft, TGTV official mock draft for the first year now. And before we get into this, guys, please remember that this is assuming that no picks are traded. I have a big feeling that some picks are going to be traded, but I really don't know, so I'm just going to go from the way the draft order is now. So anyway, guys, let's get into this. At number 1, the 76ers. For me, I think this is an obvious pick. I think you take Ben Simmons. The 76ers are a team that needs a clear star, and I think that guy right now is Ben Simmons. He's got the build to really take over a game, and he's got the skills as well to really take over a game. And I feel like the 76ers need a guy who can take over a game because they've really got a lot of pieces that need some sort of core, and I think Ben Simmons can be that core. At number 2 for the Los Angeles Lakers, I think that the obvious pick is Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram is very similar to Ben Simmons the way that I feel like he can really take over a game, but I feel like Brandon Ingram will thrive better with very good players around him in the next few years. If he has 1 or 2 really good players around him, I think he can do a lot of great things. Those 2 great players right now, I would say, is D'Angelo Russell, and I am sure at this point the Los Angeles Lakers within the next 2 off seasons will sign a huge player for their team. I think those 3 could make a fantastic big 3 over the next few years. At number 3 for the Boston Celtics, my squad, I would have to say I think at this point it is going to be Jamal Murray. Now, I was going back and forth between Jamal Murray and Buddy Hield, but I decided on Murray because I could definitely see the Celtics trying to go after a combo guard. The reason being, we already have Isaiah Thomas, we already have Avery Bradley. We're not exactly looking for a player to take over in one of those roles, but to get a 6-man off the bench who can provide a lot at either position, I think Jamal Murray really supplies that. If they do not trade this pick for Jimmy Butler, I think that their best move here is picking Jamal Murray. At number 4, I would have to say the Suns would pick Dragan Bender. Now, I'm also a big Suns fan, and a lot of you know that I was not huge on Dragan Bender. But in this situation, I think that the way the draft goes and the way the Suns team is set up and their team needs, I think it is worth the risk to take on Dragan Bender. He's a completely unproven commodity in my mind, but he's got the build to be a great player. We're in the wake of the Porzingis pick, which was insane. Porzingis has been amazing. I mean, obviously, he's only had 1 season under his belt. We don't know what he could really do yet, but Dragan Bender could be the next Porzingis, or he could be the next Bargnani. Nobody really knows, but in this scenario, I think the Suns are in the situation where they should pick him. At number 5, the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think will pick Chris Dunn. Now, this pick was kind of an interesting one. I was going back and forth between Chris Dunn and Buddy Hield. And I think that they'll pick Chris Dunn because they've got Ricky Rubio now under contract for, I think, 3 or 4 more years. And since they have him under contract for that long and they've moved Zach LaVine into the shooting guard position, this is the perfect time to bring in maybe not the 6th man, but a very solid backup point guard. Chris Dunn can develop on the Wolves, and then they can make their decision in 2 to 3 years who they want as their star point guard moving forward. And in my mind, I think Chris Dunn is an absolute star. I think he's going to be their guy in the future, and we'll be looking at a lineup of Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns, and then at the other big position, I'm not really completely sure for the future. But at number 6, guys, we'll move on to the New Orleans Pelicans. And I would say for this pick, definitely go with Buddy Hield. The Pelicans are a team that this year, people were honestly talking at the beginning of the season, maybe a playoff contender. Not a championship contender, obviously, but Anthony Davis' injury, he also struggled at certain points in the season. The team really could not find a way to make an identity for themselves. And I'm not saying that Buddy Hield will exactly make that identity, but I do think that he'll add another young piece that can take some time to develop, sure, but I think he's a very talented scorer, and I think that is what New Orleans needs right now. I mean, to be honest with you, I really think New Orleans needs everything outside of Anthony Davis, and he needs some help, man. Anthony Davis, he had a bit of an off year, but I can expect that he'll come back next year and he'll be fantastic. So now, guys, at number 7, this pick, I think for me, this is where I originally thought he would land. He was higher up for a while, but Jaylen Brown falling to the Nuggets at number 7. After getting knocked out in the first round of the NCAA tournament, I know his stock fell a lot, but I do not think that's completely reflective of his skill and how he can play at the NBA level. I think he's a great talent. I think I was back and forth between him and Marquise Chris here. But I think that they really do need a small forward. They've already got a power forward in Kenneth Faried, so I don't think getting Chris was the best move here. Jaylen Brown, this pick, that is what I think they got to do here. I think he's going to help them a lot. Now moving on to number 8, the Kings. As I just mentioned, my move here would be Marquise Chris. You've already got Boogie down there at center, and we don't know the future of Boogie with the Kings, to be honest with you. It could really go either way. But if they do decide to keep him for the long haul and he wants to be there for the long haul, he's obviously one of the best, if not the best center in the league. And if you pair him with Marquise Chris over the next few years, maybe not right out the gate, but over the next few years, they're going to be a fantastic front court. And I think that they would be a force to be reckoned with. Now at number 9 for the Raptors, speaking of a possible fantastic front court, drafting Henry Ellenson would be a fantastic pick because you'd be able to pair him with Jonas Valanciunas over the next few years. And Jonas Valanciunas is still developing and he's already amazing. So I think that that is a really good pick for them. I could really see them doing a lot with those two down low. Next up at number 10 for the Milwaukee Bucks, I would have to say it would be Wade Baldwin. Now, Wade Baldwin at Vanderbilt, man, I think he showed a lot. I think he can bring a lot to this Bucks team. The Bucks are honestly a team I could see in the next few years having a lot of buzz around them. I think they've got a lot of young talent. We've seen Giannis Antetokounmpo in the past few years. He has just become amazing. And, of course, there's Jabari Parker, who has been in some trade talks, some with the Celtics, but I really do not see that happening. I see them holding on to Jabari. I don't think they really have a reason to get rid of him. And I think that adding Wade Baldwin as another point guard, especially considering the fact that they might get rid of Michael Carter-Williams, there's a lot of what-ifs going on with that team. And I think that adding Wade Baldwin leaves a lot of room to go around with those what-ifs. So anyway, moving on to number 11 for the Magic. I always butcher his name. Jakob Poeltl, I think it is. The center from Utah. I think he's awesome. I think they could use another center to back up Vucevic. And yeah, I think he's an obvious pick at this point. I just don't think that earlier than this, there's a lot of places I could see him going and fitting in well, but I could definitely see him fitting in well with the Magic. At number 12, I would take Skal Labissière. I mean, we're looking at a guy who's 7 feet coming out of a school like Kentucky, who's gotten the chance to play at the highest level against the best of teams. He's got a lot of talent. We saw that last year. I think he would add a lot for that Jazz team. Another great guy down low. Number 13 for the Phoenix Suns. I think they're probably going to take Deonte Davis here. I'm a big Michigan State guy. I'm a big fan of Deonte Davis. I think with all this Markieff Morris, Marcus Morris drama going on there, I don't know how much longer Markieff's going to last there. That leaves a power forward spot wide open. Even if they hold on to Markieff for now, that leaves that spot open for Deonte Davis in the future. They give him a few years to develop, move him into that starting role. I think you do a great job for them. Now at number 14 for the Chicago Bulls, I would have to say Demetrius Jackson from Notre Dame. Add another point guard to the mix. I mean, they got Rose in there right now, but obviously, I mean, I am just beating a dead horse with this, but you never know with Derrick Rose, and having another point guard on hand, especially one who proved himself so well in college, 16 points a game, man. I think he's a great guy to have on board for you. And even if Rose doesn't get injured for the future, have a guy in there who you can develop and probably be your point guard of the future. And now moving on to number 15 at the Nuggets pick, I would take Furkan Korkmaz, but I'm not 100% convinced with that pick. I like bringing in a shooting guard for that team. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of what ifs with the Nuggets right now, and this is one of the picks that I'm not 100% sure of, but I put him here because I really didn't know where else to put him. So I don't have a ton of analysis on this, guys. I think he's a good talent. I think he should be drafted somewhere in the top 20, but this was really the best fit I could find. For number 16, the Celtics, Domantas Sabonis from Gonzaga. He was awesome last year in the tournament. Gonzaga made that nice run. And the Celtics are really looking to beef up that front court. They've got an awesome backcourt. We talked about that earlier in the video. But for the front court, Domantas Sabonis would be a great pickup. Now for number 17 for the Grizzlies, there's another guy, I mess up his name, Timothy Luau. Oh God, I'm going to get roasted in the comments. This is honestly another guy that I'm awful with the international players gauging their talent and how it will equate to the NBA. And to be honest with you, I think basically there's very few people that really know how well international players are going to convert to the NBA game. And I just thought that another shooting guard would be great to bring in for the Grizzlies. And if that works out, great. I could see them picking him. To be honest with you, though, I really do think that the next pick would be a better pick for them. And that is at number 18, the Pistons, Denzel Valentine. He's a senior. That's really the reason why he dropped this far. I think he was the AP Player of the Year. I might be wrong on that, but another Michigan State guy. And I can speak more on him because as a Michigan State fan, I've watched him, I've watched Deonte Davis, I've watched them probably more than I have any other player. Except actually, I've seen so much of Buddy Hield this year, I feel like. And I think that you bring in a guy like this, and at 15, excuse me, not 15, at 18 for the Pistons, if they can bring in Denzel Valentine and he can make an impact in a draft like this that isn't necessarily extremely deep, I think that's a fantastic pick to pull in that late. Fantastic. Moving on now, number 19, I would take for the Nuggets, Taurean Prince from Baylor. Now, we've already taken one small forward in this mock draft. We already gave them Jaylen Brown, but it does not hurt to have another guy down there, another guy at the same position, two players learning together, developing together. And if it comes to the point where you need to move one of them, you can. If anything, I feel like it might be the best choice for them to try to trade this pick, maybe get a pick for next year. I'm not exactly sure what team would want to trade to that position, but I guess we'll have to see. I'm not sure if I would pick if I were them, but like I said, this is assuming that every team picks. Now moving on to number 20 for the Pacers, I would take Malachi Richardson here from Syracuse. Great shooting guard. I think they are going to keep Paul George, it sounds like, and this brings them a good shooting guard to put in there. Keep Paul George at small forward, you put George Hill at point guard, and I think you're starting to develop a better team that can make the playoffs this year and probably make a decent run in the playoffs. I think they needed a season to get everything together, and I want to see them try and make some moves this offseason because the Pacers are a fun team to root for. I'm a big fan of Paul George. I think he's a fantastic player, and I think if we can start putting some pieces around him, we can see the Pacers be a contender again in the next few years. Hopefully, I mean, that's an ideal scenario. At number 21 for the Atlanta Hawks, I would take Diamond Stone. I mean, come on, man. You got to take the guy just for the name. But anyway, we got Al Horford in the next offseason. What am I talking about? This offseason is a free agent. We really don't have any full idea of what his future looks like. So to bring in a center, if you get Al Horford back, you've got a great guy to bring off the bench for him. If you don't, maybe he doesn't start the first year, but you've got a guy you can develop over the next few years to maybe take that spot. He's a freshman. He's got a lot of years ahead of him. He is 6'10". He's a little bit on the shorter side, but I think that he could definitely do a good job there at center. Moving on to number 22 here, I could really see the Hornets drafting Juan Hernangomez. Reason being, I could see them bringing in another combo forward, some guy who can play power forward, small forward, and like I said, I'm not extremely well versed on international players. I did a little bit of research on all of them. I wanted to know what I was looking at, and I still am so bad at finding out, okay, how are they going to equate to NBA play? But I do think that this is a guy who could probably make an impact. He's another project. I think a lot of the international players are projects, but usually they do have a great build, and he, I think, is the type of guy that could make an impact. Anyway, moving on to number 23. I wanted to put him higher, but I knew the Celtics, if he was available at 23, would try to draft him. For the Celtics at number 23, Thon Maker. This guy is the question mark to end all question marks. I know the Celtics love him. I know the 76ers really like him. And the question is, does he go in the early 20s or does he go between 15 and 20? And I really don't know at this point. He's the type of player that I feel like is either going to get drafted way earlier than he should have or way later. But I think he's a guy that, like I said, in a not very deep draft, he's worth picking early. He's a guy who is worth the risk. That's what I think this draft is really about, is find the guys who are worth the risk, because a lot of them are going to maybe not even be on a team in the next few years. This draft is really, in my opinion, weak, and I think that Thon Maker is so worth that pick at 23 for the Celtics. I think he could be picked earlier, but I think that the Celtics have just such a great respect for him at this point that I feel like they're the ones who are going to take the risk early enough. Excuse me. Number 24, though, for the 76ers, I feel like they would have picked him there, but because they didn't, I would say they're probably going to take Malik Beasley. Bring in another guard, because please, God, 76ers, bring in some guards, man. Oh, my God. Number 25 for the Clippers, Ante Zizic. Another international player, brings in another center, gives a little bit of depth in the front court. I'm not going to continue to elaborate on that. For number 26, the 76ers bring in Tyler Ulis. Tyler Ulis is awesome. The only issue with him is his height. But you look at the impact that Isaiah Thomas has made in the past few years. He's back and forth between 5'8 and 5'9. Depends on where you look. I guess it depends on if he's wearing shoes or not. Tyler Ulis is 5'10, and I think he can make a similar impact. He's a fantastic shooter. He dropped 17 points a game last year at the height of 5'10. I think he can do a lot, guys. I really, really feel like he can make a great impact. Moving on now to number 27 for the Raptors, Dejounte Murray. I think another combo guard for them. Bring him in. You've already got Lowry. You got a question mark for DeRozan, but it sounds more and more like he's going to come back. So Raptors fans can start to breathe a little bit. I think that you will probably get him back. And, I mean, I don't want to say they're a championship contending team, but they're close. If they can bring in another piece this offseason, and depends on what happens with the Cavs, how things change for them, I would definitely say that right now the Raptors are the second best team in the East, and that's a nice place to be. For number 28 for the Suns, I would say bring in Damian Jones. You got Alex Len and Tyson Chandler at center right now, but man, that's kind of a mess. The Suns are kind of a mess. I think bring in another guy into that front court, maybe a guy who can surprise you, do something good, played great at Vanderbilt. Hopefully he can make a similar type of impact for the Suns. The Suns right now, though, are in a tough position. Number 29 for the Spurs, from Kansas, Cheick Diallo. I think he is going to be probably amazing because he gets drafted by the Spurs. I mean, what else is new, right? The Spurs are going to find a way to draft anybody and be able to turn them into somebody at least serviceable. And, you know, I have whoever they pick there, I just know it's going to turn out to be a good pick. And at number 30 for the Warriors, I would say take Bryce Johnson. I was very impressed with Bryce Johnson from North Carolina this year. I think he's a solid pick. I think he's worth picking in the first round. I looked at a lot of mock drafts that put him early second round. I'm telling you, Warriors, take him with that pick. Again, is he worth the risk? He's a player that did a lot at the college level, could possibly do a lot at the NBA level. So is he worth the risk? I think he is worth the risk. I say take him with that pick. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Tell me what you guys think down below for your mock drafts. You can put down, you don't have to put down the whole thing. Maybe put down the first few picks, or maybe a sleeper pick, a surprise pick. Let me know what you think of the draft. I am so excited for it. We are just now, when I upload this, probably 4 days away from the draft. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. I'm out.